Hi! If you haven't been to this channel before, what I usually feature is original music videos and some drum and guitar covers. I'm attempting my first drum instruction video on here. We're going to start off by learning how to count in 4/4 time. 4/4 represents 4 notes per measure, and each note gets a quarter beat of the whole. The quarter notes determine the tempo of what you're playing. A moderate beat on the bass drum would sound like this. Eighth notes are going to be twice as fast as quarter notes. The problem is we can only count to 4 in 4/4. So we have a counting system. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'll play eighth notes on the hi-hat and quarter notes on the bass drum. The eighth notes I played on the hi-hat in combination with the quarter notes on the bass drum would look like this. Now we will take that same pattern with the hi-hats being played as eighth notes with the bass drum underneath playing quarter notes, and we will split up the quarter notes between the bass drum and the snare drum with the bass drum on 1 and 3 and the snare drum on 2 and 4. This is known as a 2 and 4 beat. You can also vary the bass drum and snare drum. Another counting system that we use in 4/4 is 16th notes. Just as there are twice as many eighth notes as there are quarter notes, there are twice as many 16th notes as there are eighth notes. We would count the 16th notes 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. I will now demonstrate the relationship between 16th notes and eighth notes by playing eighth notes on the hi-hat and going around the drums with 16th notes. That same pattern going from the snare to the left tom to the right tom to the floor tom can be played as a single stroke roll. Here it is in combination with a 2 and 4 beat. You can also play 16th notes within a regular 2 and 4 beat. Up until now, everything we have done in the 4/4 time signature has been concerned with counting in groups of 4. Quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. Now we will look at triplets, which is a way of counting to 3 in 4/4 time. A good example of the rhythm of triplets would be the Merrily, Merrily, Merrily section of Row, Row, Row Your Boat, which would be counted 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Where you would have 8 eighth notes, you will now have 12 eighth note triplets. 16th notes, there will be 24 triplets. This is a very famous drum fill played by John Bonham in the course of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, and it starts off with a pickup note followed by 16th note triplets, then ends with eighth note triplet. note triplet drum pattern. It is played by Ringo Starr during the course of the Beatles song Come Together. Starr has stated he played it going from the floor tom to the tom-tom, but it is played by most people descending around 3 tom-toms. In John Scofield's Blue Matter, Dennis Chambers plays 16th note triplets between the hi-hat and the bass drum. In the live version of Jethro Tull's Dharma for One, Clive Bunker plays very fast single-stroke triplets around the kit. If we then take our 12 eighth note triplets and play them with one hand on the hi-hat, it would sound like this. Add quarter notes with the bass drum on 1 and 3 and the snare drum on 2 and 4, it would look like this and sound like this. If we take the same drum pattern that we just played in 4/4 and remove the triplet notation, we will have 12 eighth notes in a measure, which would bring us to a 12/8 time signature. If we play this drum pattern in 12/8, it would be, for all intents and purposes, the same beat we just played in 4/4 using triplets. Many songs are notated in both 12/8 and 6/8 time signature. What works best for me is if I find that a chord pattern, rhythmic pattern, or melody repeats every 6 notes, I would be more comfortable putting it in 6/8 time signature. We will now take the original beat we played in 12/8 and revert it back to 4/4 using triplets. In doing so, we can arrive at a shuffle rhythm, wherein the middle note of each of the 4 triplets is removed, giving us a rhythm that sounds something like this. By filling in the triplet rests with a snare drum, you can play increasingly complex rhythms in a shuffle. If we, instead of playing the snare drum on 2 and 4, play the snare drum on 3, we would have a half-time shuffle. When playing a half-time shuffle, most drummers fill in these rests with a snare drum and play the snare drum with the hi-hat on the 3, augmenting this with the bass drum. Another variation of the shuffle pattern on the drum set would be the Texas Shuffle. The Texas Shuffle would be played with both hands playing the shuffle pattern and the snare drum accenting the 2 and the 4. You could also play just the snare drum shuffle pattern with the ride or the hi-hat playing quarter notes. Quarter notes in the traditional Texas Shuffle would be played also on the bass drum, though this could be varied. If we remove these two notes from the shuffle pattern, we will have a swing pattern. This rhythm is often accompanied by the hi-hat on the 2 and the 4. A traditional swing pattern exemplified by the music of the big band era would feature 4 quarter notes on the bass drum with the hi-hat on the 2 and 4. More modern jazz styles, such as bebop, may feature interplay between the snare drum and the bass drum against the swing rhythm. Another swing pattern that was first popularized by Billy Cobham is a double bass shuffle, wherein 2 bass drums play a shuffle rhythm, and the swing pattern is played against that, with the snare drum interplaying with the bass drums. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like and subscribe to this channel.